Hello, friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice to have you all here. Thanks for joining me today. I am excited to be sharing today's material and content. I know you're going to find it extremely helpful, especially this day and age when we're looking for alternatives to social media to grow our businesses and our practices and ensure that our message is reaching as many people as it possibly can. So get settled in. Make sure you've got a pen and piece of paper handy. I'm going to be sharing some really cool frameworks, and some of these are this is some of this material is material I've never taught before. At least publicly, I've taught some of this in my mentorship groups. So be sure to take good notes and stay tuned in and participate. That's the other key here today, is to participate. So this is going to be unlike a typical webinar where it's going to be just me as a talking head. What I'd love to do is set the intention today for us to collaborate and communicate as a community and share our ideas and pour into this conversation as well. So instead of being a fly on the wall, I want you to be in a seat next to me and in a seat next to your colleagues. All of us are here because we have a common objective, which is to help more people. And we also have perhaps a common fear, or we have a common concern, which is, how do I get my message out there without relying on social media? Now, I'm not going to be the one that tells you that you don't need to have a social media presence, but I know that there's many very successful practices that have been built exclusively without social media and that do really, really well. So it is possible. However, I think it's important that all of us have some sort of online presence that we can tap into. So with that being said, I will let people in as they tune in. I want to honor the space and honor you all for showing up on time and being present to this conversation. So as always, I like to set some sort of intention. And by setting an intention, it's helpful for me to understand why you're here. And it's also, I think, valuable for me to set an intention into the space so that we can hold space for one another. So give yourself just a moment and tune into the music, get into a relaxed state, and set an intention for yourself for this next 45 minutes to an hour that we have together. And I would love for those of you that feel comfortable with setting that intention and sharing that intention to share it in the chat. So maybe it's what's inspiring you to join today. What do you hope to walk away with from today? What is it that you want to receive out of this time together? All right. So give yourself a minute. And I'm also going to encourage you to turn your camera on. Makes you feel more present to me. Okay, Neil says, starting a new business and launching a new product, and want to see what the best practices are in the current market. Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing, Niels. Okay, building a community, says Maggie. Hey, Maggie. All right, I'll wait for one more, then we'll get started. Okay, Claudia says, to learn. Okay, well, you'll definitely learn a few things today, so you're in the right place. Awesome. So let's get right into this. Let's get started. And again, let's encourage participation and communication so that we can all get something out of this. I always get something out of this myself. So my intention today is to leave each and every one of you a little bit better than I found you, and hopefully leave you inspired and committed to growing your vision and your mission. So here's what you'll learn today. You'll learn how to become a marketplace sage. You'll learn how to invite people to your program. You'll learn how to reach out to past leads. You'll learn how to generate more referrals. You'll learn how to connect with people offline and build communities and partnerships. And you'll also learn how to raise your prices without raising your prices. So if this sounds interesting to you, then type in "let's go," and that way I know you're in the right place and you're ready to learn this information. Now, if this isn't the right information for you, then by all means, you are a free bird and you have a free pass to go do whatever you want. It's a beautiful evening here in Toronto. Hopefully it's beautiful where you are as well. All right, so I see a lot of let's goes. Awesome. So we're going to learn this in a few different ways. And, there will be some drawing required. So make sure you've got a pen and paper handy. And you're always welcome to take a screenshot if you'd like to. So the first thing I want to do is I want to help you with positioning. So positioning yourself in your marketplace is actually one of the most important tools in building your business. So the Marketplace Sage is a framework that I want to share with you, and I want you to be intentional. So you might read some of this, or you might listen to some of this, and you might be like, you know what, I'm already kind of doing this. And the hope is that you are. So I hope that you check off all 4 of the characteristics of the Marketplace Sage. However, I want you to do it more intentionally. And really, I invite you to do it more intentionally. It's not about what I want, it's about what you're willing to do for yourself and your practice. So the Marketplace Sage has 4 characteristics. And the reason you want to be positioned as the sage is something that you'll find out here in just a moment. So these are the 4 characteristics. The sage has a cause and a crusade. What is your why, right? So Simon Sinek did one of his most popular TED Talks, and it was called Start With Why. And at one point, I think it was one of the most viewed TED Talks of all time, or at least in the top 5. And successful companies, successful organizations have a cause or a crusade. There is an underlying purpose for why that business exists. And we may know what that rationality is. We may understand what our big why is, but that why needs to come through in everything that you do. So some people might call this the golden thread. They might call this the big grand purpose. We might call it a cause or a crusade. Now, I want to give credit always where credit is due. So these notes that you see were taken at a presentation I attended that was done by Simon Bowen. Simon Bowen actually is presenting right now. I actually signed up for his webinar at 6:00 today, and I'm here instead to teach you his framework. So pretty kind of meta. So he's in 2 places right now at the same time. But so this framework comes from him. So I always want to share where this is coming from. So the cause and the crusade. So I want you to type in, what is your cause and what is your crusade? What is it that drives you? What is it that is the undercurrent of why you do what you do? It could be for personal reasons. It could be because you don't want people to suffer the way you did. It could be to help people achieve amazing health so we can create awesome communities. It could be to prevent suffering of families when a loved one is unwell. What is it that inspires you to do what you do? The next is character. So character is super important, as you might know, and it's important for us to be in integrity. So character isn't an actor. It's not actor, right? It is somebody who is living in integrity. So anytime we are not living in integrity, we feel like an imposter. So this is something that we want to take into consideration. How compliant are you to what you teach people? Do you just talk the talk or do you walk the walk? Okay. Chances are you walk the walk. However, this is an important characteristic of the sage. And when we do things that are out of integrity, then we no longer feel like the sage. The next is capability. So the sage has a unique capability, a unique gift that only they have. What is that gift that you have? And are you fully expressing that gift? So, I like to take things that are complicated and make them really simple. Steve Jobs was famous for having something called the simple stick. Okay, so he would take, the engineers would present something to him and he would hit it with a simple stick and make it simpler. What is your unique capability? Maybe for you, it's communication. Maybe it's public speaking. Maybe it is simplification. Hopefully, you're not good at complicating things, right? Some of us, that might be our unique capability, making things harder than they need to be. And number 4 is that they are committed. They are all in. They don't dabble, right? So you don't have somebody who is the marketplace sage during the day and then bartending at night, right? So you've got to be fully committed, all in what you do. So how many of those would you say you can check off? Give yourself a score, type in 1, 2, 3, or 4, and be honest, be transparent. Maybe there's one that you could do better. Maybe there's one that you could do more intentionally. Okay, and now you have the formula. So these are the 4 things that you need to be in constant awareness of. And it's not just about you having this awareness, but the marketplace has to have that awareness. Okay, so you're not a sage to yourself, you're a sage to the marketplace. So do your customers and does your audience know what your cause is? Do they know your purpose? Okay, so my purpose in coaching practitioners is I want to help practitioners attract their ideal, committed clients to create transformational results for them, all while helping practitioners live a higher quality of life. Because that's what I want for myself. And I understand when you don't attract clients, what that means to your business. I understand when you don't create transformation for them, what that means to your business. And I understand when you don't create transformation for yourself or improve your quality of life, what that means to you. Okay. And then character, right? Do I do the things that I tell my clients to do? Right? Or am I doing something completely different? So everything that I'm going to share with you today, these are things that we do in our practice. And of course, I hope you know that I'm all in. Okay. So the marketplace sage has these 4 characteristics. Now, let's talk about the sage in terms of selling. So our goal, all of us want to learn how to attract more clients without using social media, right? And social media might be one of the ways that people find us. Now, when you show up as a sage, you show up as a sage at dinner parties, you show up as a sage in online presentations that you might even be attending, at events that you might be attending, in-person workshops, entrepreneur meetings that you might attend, conferences that you attend, right? You show up, this is a specific way to show up, okay? Now, the way you sell as a sage is different than the way you sell as a vendor, thought leader, or hero. So a vendor sells based on price. Okay, and that's the bottom of this pyramid here. The vendor sells based on price. Now, that works if you're selling a commodity, right? And none of us are selling a commodity, we're selling a service. The thought leader is somebody who sells based on the idea that they are smarter than their customer. The hero sells based on the fact that they might be stronger than the customer, right? Or more capable than the customer. Now, these two characters sell based on ego. The sage, on the other hand, which is how you want to position yourself, sells based on profound simplicity, profound genius, a powerful calm. They use their presence over pressure, and they typically position themselves as being smaller and weaker than the hero. And that doesn't mean that they are. They just have humility so that they can make the customer feel like the hero and make the customer feel like the thought leader. People are generally more in agreement with you if they think it's their idea, aren't they? Okay, so simplicity, genius, calm, and presence and humility. Those are the characteristics of the marketplace sage. So this is how you want to show up, right? In a world of chaos, in a world of complexity, in a world of information overload, in a world where people are feeling constant pressure, right? You can cut through a lot of that noise and have a totally different frequency that people are attracted to. Is this making sense? Raise your hand or your digital hand if it's making sense to you. Awesome. So let's shift, right? You're not a vendor, so you're not selling based on price. Don't position yourself in the marketplace based on what other people are selling their services for. That's a race to the bottom you don't want to win. Okay. Never position yourself as a know-it-all. And never position yourself as somebody who's going to save people from themselves. I realize you can't save people from themselves. They've got to be willing to be saved, right? You can't save someone who wants to drown. All right, so we're all going to be marketplace sages now, right? Type in sage if you're going to become the marketplace sage for your program. All right. Awesome. And we're not talking about sage as in the herb, right? We're talking about the sage as the wise one. Beautiful. All right. So a sage has the ability to, in many cases, almost know what the student is going to ask, right? What the client is going to ask. So I want to share a tool with you that allows you to know exactly that. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of how to use this tool, but just type down this website. It's called answerthepublic.com. And when you use Answer the Public, what you will learn is you will learn about a framework, or you'll learn about, you'll have a tool where you'll be able to type in using one or two words. So if your market is thyroid patients, or you're working with people with thyroid disease, you would just type in thyroid disease when you go to Answer the Public. You get 2 free searches per day, I believe. And so, don't go in there and start messing around. Actually type in what it is that you're searching for, or the type of problem that you solve. And what you'll get is this website will start curating the top questions that people have regarding this problem. So if you go in here, I know this is probably small on your end and it's not meant for you to be able to read it necessarily, but when I type in thyroid disease, then there's a whole bunch of questions that come up, and the most popular questions that people typed into Google are going to be curated all in one spot for you. So you might see things like, what causes thyroid disease? What leads to thyroid disease? What are the cures for thyroid disease? What medications interfere with thyroid function? So all the top questions that you would get are going to show up here. And what's cool about this is what people are searching for. These are the most popular questions that people have about this topic. And the beautiful thing about that is that you can start answering or at least researching the answers to these questions, because these are the questions that are probably going to come up for you. So go to answerthepublic.com, type in just 1 or 2 words. You don't type in the whole sentence, right? You just type in thyroid disease, autoimmune disease, weight loss, joint pain, heart disease, COVID, whatever it is you want to type, whatever you want to be the sage for, the topic, you type that in and it'll give you a whole bunch of questions that people are asking. And now this can actually be your content library. You can write blog articles about these questions, which means that people are probably going to be much more likely to land on your page. You can create YouTube content on these topics. You can obviously create social media topics if you want, but today's social media is a bad word, right? At least in this little forum, because you're here because you don't like social media, right? So this is a way that you can become a sage and answer the most pressing questions that people have about the topic that you're an expert in. Okay, this is one of my favorite tools. It's super easy, and it's such a powerful way for you to do reconnaissance, to get information. Okay, so yeah, if you're able to answer all the questions that these people are firing off, you're going to feel more confident too. Like, how much more confident would you be going into a consultation knowing, most of the questions that they're probably going to have, but not just knowing the questions that they're going to have, but also knowing the answers, right? It's one thing to know the question. It's another thing to know the answer. Imagine your certainty and confidence when you go into that call, right? Or walk into that meeting room with them, or bump into them at a cafe, right? Or attend an event. Like, you're going to be positioned uniquely because you've done your research. Okay. We don't have to know everything about the thyroid or autoimmune disease. We have to know what questions they have about it and be able to answer it. Okay. All right. Another thing for positioning yourself as a sage is answering or filling in the blanks here. Okay. So the, for, who. So I want you to give yourself just a moment here, and I want you to think about who you are, who you're for, and what problem you solve. Okay, so I might say something like, I am the functional medicine practice coach for heart-centered practitioners who want to go from 0 to 6 figures. Who are you for? Who are you? Who are you for? And what problem do you solve for people? So give yourself a moment, and I want you to actually type that into the chat so we can see who's here. The, for, who. And if you need any assistance, feel free to raise your hand, your digital hand, and I'm happy to help you. Okay, so once you have that, go ahead and type that into the chat. Okay, Aaron, great start. So I'm going to ask you to try to be perhaps a little bit more specific. So women who want better hormonal and digestive health. So one way to get more specific might be to say, are they women with children? Are they perimenopausal? Are they postmenopausal? Are they menopausal? Um, is there a way that we could more narrowly define that that person so they say, "Oh, that's me"? Okay, so we want to try to be as specific as we possibly can. So you're definitely on the right track, and you can definitely stick with what you have. But I think that the more specific we can get, the more effective our message can land. We want people to really feel like, oh my God, this is totally for me. That's exactly who I am. Okay. And I know with women's bodies, things change, right? So it's important to speak to where they are in their life. Okay. Great. We have some good, awesome ones here. All right. So, Svetlana, you put the functional medicine doc for people who want to age gracefully. So, perhaps, again, getting more specific. Is it men? Is it women? Are these middle aged people? Are these retired folks? Try to be as specific. Now, here's the thing. Right now, we're kind of doing this as a very general exercise. When you're introducing yourself, you would want to speak to that person, right? So if you can see that that person is middle aged, then you can add that in, right? However, I do know that many of us will specialize with a specific age group of people. Okay, Daria, great one. The functional medicine nutrition sage. All right, she's taken some tips and for menopausal women who want to feel younger as they age. Great. I love that. That's awesome. Okay, great job. So this is a great start. So this is a great framework, and you can definitely play with this. And you certainly want to be able to answer this question. It should roll off your tongue when people ask you, right? Especially because in the offline world, we're communicating with people, and things have to roll off of our tongue. We can't, type something and then erase it, repost, delete, edit. We can't do that in real life. So you want this to be really, really familiar to you, and you want it to roll off your tongue. All right. So we're all marketplace sages now with better awareness. We're going to know exactly what questions people are going to have and where to find what questions they have. And we have a better sense of our self-identity. Okay. Are you finding this helpful so far? Type in yes if you're finding this helpful. All right. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Let's talk about inviting people now. So many of you may have an email list. Certainly, you have friends that have emails, right? So all of you have an email list. Whether it's a business email list or not is totally different. However, many of you probably have people on your personal email list that could benefit from your services, right? I think all of us can agree that there's people that we know that we could probably help. And if they were presented with the right offer, that they would probably raise their hand and say, yes, I want some help. So let's talk about a strategy that you can use to invite people to raise their hand. Okay. Now, whether you have a huge list or a small list, this strategy will work because we're only looking for 5 people. Okay. How many of you can handle five more new clients? All of you? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to share this framework with you. And I want you to try to think of how you can apply this framework to your business. So this is an email that I'm going to be sending out. And the subject line is from startup to 6 figures. Okay, so hello, Claudia. I'm looking for 5 practitioners for a really unique opportunity. This is specifically for you if you are a wellness practitioner. And then I list the different designations: health coach, fitness coach, MD, DO, DC, who has a business revenue from 0 to 100K, who wants to be mentored and coached to become a 6 to 7 figure earner, who wants to build multiple streams of active and passive income, who wants to be part of a private group with other passionate practitioners on the same journey. Okay, if this sounds like you, reply to this email with the phrase next level, and I will send you the private details. Okay, so this is a way for us to get people to raise their hands. So when we bullet out these 5 characteristics, we want to make sure that we're as specific as possible. Okay, feel free to take a screenshot of this if you want. Now, here's the thing. You're going to have your own 5 bullet points. Okay, you're going to have bullet points of the characteristics of the ideal customer that you want to work with. So let's spend a few minutes and actually start thinking of what those bullet points are. So I'm going to play some thinking music for all of us so we can get into the mood, and I'll give us all just a few moments to write down what are those characteristics of the person that we want to work with. Are they coachable? Are they willing to learn new skills? Are they committed to excellence? Are they perhaps tired of taking supplements? Take a moment and reflect on maybe some of the consultations that you've had or some of the complaints that you hear from people. Think of some of the objections and address those objections in the characteristics that you're looking for. So some of the objections might be money, right? The 3 main objections are money, time, and will this work for me? So maybe your client is looking for an affordable, or maybe your client is willing to make an investment in their health. Maybe compliance is something that you want to address, right? So one of the characteristics you're looking for is somebody who's compliant. Maybe you want somebody with a go-getter attitude, somebody who's coachable, somebody who's got a problem that nobody can seem to figure out. All right, Aaron's got some great ones here. So someone who's highly coachable, is tired of Band-Aid solutions, looking for a guide who truly listens, who wants a root cause approach to health, not just disease management. Okay, so I'll stop talking and let you think this through. Another one could be who is tired of guessing with their health, right? Maybe wants to run lab testing that gets to the root cause of the problem. Okay, awesome. So all of you should have your email 90% written. Okay, so I'm looking for 5 people for a really unique opportunity. This is specifically for you if you are committed to your health, if you're willing to make an investment, if you're in your health, you're looking for an affordable, practical, time-saving solution with your health, you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, and the list goes on, right? So how many of you have 5 bullet points that you can start with? Okay, awesome. And then, this sounds like you. Please reply to this email with the phrase next level, and we will send you the private details. I'll send you the private details. Okay, so this is how you filter for highly qualified people, by being very specific with what your goals are. All right, so look out for this email from me. Okay, and if you're interested in, if this is you, if I'm speaking to you in this email, you can type in next level right now. Be curious to see who this resonates with. If you got this email, would it be something that resonates with you? Right? This is helpful for me in knowing, is this who you are? Are you in the right place? All right, awesome. So let's keep going, and we will. All right, J Deep says next level, amazing. Action taker. Claudia says next level, awesome. You're in the right place. So now let's go into a formula that talks about the very powerful, simple email. And don't let the simplicity of this email fool you. This is one of the most powerful follow emails that you can send, and it's called the 9-word email. Now, I don't have time to convince you that this works, so you'll have to try it, but I'm going to share a video in the link, so in the chat, so you can go ahead and copy that to watch or listen to later. And this email strategy actually comes from a gentleman named Dean Jackson. Dean Jackson was the person that invented the squeeze page. The squeeze page is now known as the landing page. So whenever you go to a page and you type in your name and email address and phone number, you can thank Dean Jackson for actually inventing that. Okay. And so he actually created this methodology, which is really, really simple, but there's a slight nuance that I want to make sure that is very clear to you. So don't get fancy with this. Okay. You can certainly make a few adjustments, but don't change the framework of this. So the subject is the person's name. People cannot help but ignore their name. You ever notice if somebody calls your name? I mean, I have a pretty unique name, so it's usually not called out loud, but some of you may have a name that's been called out in a huge crowd, and they're calling your name, and you can hear it over all the noise, over all the banter. It's because our brain has a really hard time ignoring our own name. So you put their name in the subject line, and then the body is, hey, Bob, are you still interested in, and here's the kicker, here's the nuance that you want to pay attention to. We don't say, are you still interested in my program? Are you still interested in joining my program? You would never say that. That's a mistake that I made because I got fancy with it. Instead, what you would say is, are you still interested in solving blank problem, right? Are you still interested in losing 30 pounds before your wedding? Are you still interested in eliminating your digestive issues? Are you still interested in getting off your thyroid medications? Are you still interested in getting rid of your explosive diarrhea? Okay. So you will have to address and speak to the problem that they actually have. the problem that they expressed to you when you initiated contact with them. So this email goes out to people as a follow-up for those people that said no or not now. So if you've already seen people and they said, hey, it's not the right timing for me, or, this isn't, if they say they don't like you, that's a different story. But sometimes people say they don't have the money, they don't have the time, maybe it's not the right, maybe it's not even in their budget at that time. However, fast forward 6 months, does the problem get better or worse? Usually gets worse, right? Especially if it's a chronic health condition. And typically speaking, there's not that many of us, so it's not like they're bouncing around from one functional medicine practitioner or health coach to the other. They're usually going back to their medical doctor and probably getting the same runaround, assuming that, their doctor is not really addressing their root cause. So chances are their problem's gotten worse and their pain point has gotten even bigger. So now is an opportunity for us to reach out to them and say, hey, are you still interested in solving this issue? Right? I receive emails like this. Hey, are you still interested in upgrading your website? Are you still interested in optimizing SEO? Are you still interested in building that funnel, right? Or building the funnel we talked about. So use this as a really simple framework. You don't have to be the world's leading copywriter to be able to create this framework. Now, here's the thing. It has to be specific to them. Okay. So if everyone you talk to has the same pain point, then it makes it a little bit easier because you can send this out as a mass email. However, if that's not the case, then you may have to send these out individually, but that's okay. Right? Most of us, none of us, in fact, are above doing this. And if you can get one new patient out of it, that could be worth thousands of dollars to your practice, right? Thousands of dollars to your business, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars if they refer others. So this is called the 9-word email. So the first email I shared with you, this one you would send to prospective clients. Okay. Maybe if you're launching a new program, perhaps if you've got people that you've never made an offer to, okay, this would be the email that you use. And if you can, you would exclude, or you can include people. You can include everyone if you want, but you wouldn't want to send both of these emails at the same time. Okay, so this email I would reserve for people who you've already spoken to, because this is going to be a little bit more personal. Okay, everyone following me? Is this easy? Can you see yourself doing this? Okay, beautiful. All right, let's go to a really simple hack. So you can actually send personal bulk emails via Gmail. So if you don't have an autoresponder, if you don't have a CRM software set up just yet, then, or you want it to appear like the emails are coming from your personal email, but you don't want to sit there and type them all up, there's actually a mail merge feature that you can use with Gmail. So again, I'm not going to train you on that, but what I will do is I will share the link to the training that shows you exactly how to do that. Okay. And what you can actually do if you wanted to is you can go into your past 6 months of clients, and the ones that said no, you can create a spreadsheet with their name, their email address, and what you would put in the blank. Okay. So then you would say, Susan at gmail.com, chronic digestive issues, right? And then you'd go to the next person and you would put their name, email address, and then whatever you'd put in the blank. And then you can actually create a spreadsheet which has that information and merge that into an email. And you could do it with a click of a few buttons. You can send it to the entire list. Okay, so this video that I shared with you, the link for, shows you exactly how to do that. Okay, and the benefit of this is that when you send an email via mail merge through Gmail, it's not going to have the unsubscribe button, and it's not going to look like a bulk email like it typically would if you were sending a mass email to your list. Okay, so that's one of the advantages. Now, in going back to this email is okay if you send it to your whole list, okay, and you send it kind of to everyone. This email, however, the 9-word email, you probably want to send more privately. Okay. And you want it to appear like it's a personal email. So there's a way to batch this process if you wanted to. Of course, you could do it manually as well. All right. Now, I want to share, there's a whole conversation we can have on referrals, but I want to share a simple idea that kind of surprised me, but then it didn't surprise me when I gave it some more thought. So many times when we have people refer to us, we oftentimes offer them some sort of kickback. How many of you have done that where you tell a client, or B2B, it's a little bit more kosher to do stuff like that. So we might say, hey, if you refer a client to us, you get a 10% commission or a 10% finder's fee or 20% finder's fee, and then nobody refers. And you're like, what the hell? It's like a $2,500 commission you're going to earn. Why wouldn't you be telling everyone? I mean, you could make a whole career out of telling people about this program if you really wanted to. And we do all the selling. You just have to send them our way, right? Now, here's the thing. So the psychology of this is very important. People would much rather give their friend a discount than them get a kickback. Okay, so people would rather their friend get a discount than them get a kickback. So Aura Ring actually does this, right? So we all wear Aura Rings in our community. And what Aura does is they actually give you 3 codes that you can use. They give your friends a $50 discount if your friends order the ring using your specific link. Now, you don't get anything for recommending that. But what I found is that if somebody's passionate about what they're recommending to their clients, the fulfillment in knowing that their clients are going to have the same positive experience that they're having is enough for that person to refer. And in fact, one of the things that happens is when we, again, the psychology of this is if we refer somebody, if that person were to find out that I got a 20% kickback, they might feel like they're out of integrity. Does that make sense? Right? Or they might feel like, well, why am I making money off of this? I'd rather my friend get the 20% off, or maybe you can even have a hybrid solution where they get 10% and the friend gets 10%. Right? And then everyone's happy. So that's one consideration if you're thinking of a referral program, is offer the referral a discount instead of the referrer a kickback. Okay. All right. So a couple other things to think about when you're asking for referrals or just generating referrals in general is during your first consultation, unless the answer is very obvious, like I had a consultation with somebody today and I met him last week. So it's not like I'm going to ask him, hey, who referred you? But so it wouldn't make sense in that context. But if you don't know who the referrer is, ask, whom can I thank for referring you? So instead of the blanket question, which might be, how did you hear about us? You can say, whom can I thank for referring you? That's instantly planting the seed unconsciously that you are a referral-driven practice. All right. And that plants the seed for the client that says, oh, maybe I should refer somebody at some point in the future. Another way to plant the seed for a referral is when you're talking to the client, you let them know, my goal, I'll just use Claudia because I can see her here on my screen. Claudia, my goal is to ensure that you have such a positive experience that you tell everyone who can benefit from this about what we do. Right? So again, I'm planting that seed that the moment Claudia feels like she's had a great experience, in her unconscious mind, she's going to be reminded, oh, I need to tell people about this. So we need to be planting that seed. Okay. If we want more referrals, we've got to do a good job about planting that seed from the very beginning. Now, here's the other thing. People refer, and write this down, people refer based on their experience, not based on their results. So you could provide exceptional results for somebody, but if they have a bad experience or a challenging experience or an overwhelming experience, then they may never refer somebody else. Because when I refer somebody somewhere, that person's experience is going to reflect back on me. Okay, so a referral should increase my positioning to the referrer, not decrease it, right? So if I refer someone somewhere and they have a horrible experience, well, guess what? I'm losing rapport with that individual. No matter how good of friends we are, I'm losing rapport with that person. Okay, because who we refer people to is a reflection of our own personal judgment. Okay, so referrals are really ideally the bread and butter of our practice. It's not sales that make the world go around, it's referrals that make the world go around. And eventually, once you build up momentum, especially if you don't want to do marketing online, or you want to grow your practice organically, then referrals are going to be a very, very vital part of your practice. Okay. And like I said, I could spend a whole hour talking about this, but I wanted to give you some high level stuff. All right. Now let's talk about how to connect with people offline. There's so many different ways that you can connect with people. So first and foremost, we have to know where people that we're trying to help, where else do they hang out, right? Where else do they shop? Where do they spend their disposable time and their disposable income? So I know people that, I work with, let's say, they're probably going to yoga classes. They're going to ice baths. Okay, I just got off a call with a friend of mine who's also a client, and he was on his way to an ice bath. Okay, they're probably going to places where they can get healthy food to eat, right? So healthy local restaurants. They're definitely going to the gym, right? They're going to certain shops in our community, maybe very specific shops like artist shops or crystal shops. Okay, so where do these people hang out? And so then your goal is to find out where these people hang out. And it's probably places that you're already hanging out, right? It should be. And do more of that stuff. Okay, so if you go to yoga, if you go to a yoga class, twice a week, go 3 times a week. Right? If you shop at a local health food store, get to know all the employees there. Get to know the owner if you can. Right? Let the owner know, hey, I send all my clients here. Right? That's going to prompt them to ask you, oh, what do you do? Tell me more. I like to be, whenever I work with a vendor, whenever I work with a supplier, I like to be their number one client. In fact, we one of our crystal shops that we shop at, we broke their inventory because we bought so many selenite lamps for our clients. Like we would buy 80 of these lamps at a time. So we're like their number one client, right? And they know us. So when I walk into the crystal shop, which is like an hour from my house, they know exactly who we are. Right? And they take us to the private collection of crystals and they show us the crystals that they don't publicly display. And sometimes I get to buy those too. So that's an example, right? So go to the health food stores, get to know these people, right? Go to a health food store and and refer people to these places. Another thing, if you love sports, join a sports team. If you love playing basketball, join a basketball league. What we have to offer people is welcome. Everywhere you go, what you have to offer people is welcome. Another place to connect with people offline is BNI. So I actually hosted BNI meetings in my office for 3 straight years. So every week I would, host the meeting in my office. So I'd have to be there. I said, if I'm going to join this, I'm going to host the meetings because then I actually have to be there every single week, and committed to that for 3 years until I moved back to Canada. And it was great. I got to stand up in front of a group of 35 people every week that would listen to what type of referral I was looking for. And they would instantly jog their memory or think of me during that week, during a conversation that they would have. So I got a chance to practice my public speaking skills, and I had a chance to refer my clients to other people as well, to within a trusted network. So find a business networking international group close to you. Okay, and many chapters there's not that many functional medicine practitioners out there. So when you join a BNI chapter, you can only have one person from a specific industry. So there can only be one dentist, one chiropractor, one plumber, one real estate agent, one insurance agent. Okay, and I know that at one point, the BNI group that I was part of here locally went online, and then now some of them are moving back to in person. So you can always check what the based on where you live, what's going on in the local area. But if you just go to BNI or Google BNI, you'll go to their website, and then you can learn more about what's available in your area. And sometimes you might shop around different chapters of BNI that are local to you and see which one resonates with you. Okay, so usually BNI is based on local businesses, which means that, if I live in Mississauga, because you're taking up a spot in that group, you wouldn't be able to jump around from one group to the other in different towns. So usually they're based on local, and they're usually service-based industries. So like a plumber, real estate agent, carpenter, hairdresser, people like that. Okay. So that could be a potential option for you. And if you've never joined a BNI group, I encourage you to put that on your bucket list of things to do, because it's a great place for you to be able to engage and meet other people in your community. All right. I'm going to give you a little bonus here, because sometimes one of the things that we want to do is make a bigger impact, right? And so do we really want more clients, or do we want to get paid what we're worth? And maybe we want both. Okay. Many times I find practitioners are undercharging for their services. Put a dollar sign in the chat if you feel like you should be charging a little bit more than what you charge right now, or maybe even a lot more than what you charge right now. All right, Erin's charging she's leaving millions of dollars on the table. I'm sorry, I'm assuming Erin is a woman, but can't see your face. Okay, awesome. Well, not awesome, because we're all leaving money on the table. But here's the thing. So there's a framework that we can do for this. So one of my mentors, Joe Polish, taught me many years ago that the only person the price matters to is you. Let me say that again. The only person the price matters to is you. So as long as we feel confident and comfortable in the price that we're charging, people are going to feel confident in paying that price. Okay, so let me say that again. As long as we feel comfortable in the price that we're charging, people are going to feel comfortable in that price. Now, paying that price. Now, here's the other thing that you have to realize. If you charge too little, that doesn't always work in your favor, because sometimes, especially if you feel like you charge too little, like all of you said here, you're actually going out of resonance. So every time you say your price, you're out of coherence, and your inner vibration doesn't match your outer vibration. Okay, so if I were to hook you up to a heart math device, I would see your coherence would be great in the conversation, and then as soon as you mention the price, your coherence would go down. Because you know inside of you, you're charging too little. Now, the same thing happens if you're charging too much. Right? If you feel that, oh my God, I'm charging way too much for this, I'm not worth it, then guess what? You go out of coherence as well. So charging too little or too much will backfire. So some of you might be stuck in this position where you're charging too little, you're out of coherence when you present your price, and people say no, So now there's one of two things that you think. One, I need to lower my prices even more, okay? Or two, that I suck and I'm never going to make it. And both of those are bad scenarios and they don't actually solve the problem. So let me give you a framework on how to raise or modify or adjust your prices, whatever you want to call it, without actually raising your prices. Because sometimes it can feel a little bit scary when we're going to double our prices, even though that might be the right thing for you to do. Now, I'm not suggesting you raise your prices. If you're comfortable with where your prices are, then keep them right there. Okay. Don't modify them. But if you're not, then do yourself a favor and use this framework that can be helpful for you. So this framework comes from my friend Giovanni Marsico, and it's called the We're in This Together framework. So here's what you do. And you want to follow this script as closely as you can without memorizing it, but you want to follow it, the general guidelines. So Neil's My Coaching program is $4,000. And I know based on working with many clients like you, we're going to be able to help you really, really get in front of more clients and turn your business into a well-oiled machine. Okay. And you would use whatever their goal is. Okay. So I know Niels wants to reverse type 2 diabetes. So, hey, I definitely know that we can help you with that. However, I want to do something really special for you. So since you were referred to us through Aaron, I want to help reduce the friction of working with a new coach. Or since you've worked with so many coaches in the past, I know that you might be reluctant to jump in on this, even though it's a very amazing offer. So I want to do something really special just for you. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you pay a deposit of $2,000, work with me for 3 months, and only then pay the balance of $2,000 after you've achieved whatever the goal is. This way you're committed and invested in your growth. I'm committed to making sure you get results. We're in this together. Okay. Now here's the thing. Your price was always $2,000. Okay. So some of you might be wondering, what happens if they don't pay the balance? Well, you were always charging $2,000. So the other $2,000 that comes in is going to be, the difference. Okay. Now you would use this framework if you're a little gun shy, right? You would use this framework if you're kind of trying to figure out what that next price point is for you. Now, once you sell a few people at the $4,000 price point, then hey, that's your new price point, right? And these are just random numbers. So whatever makes sense for you, these are the numbers that you would use. Does this make sense to people? Can you see how this could be very valuable for your practice? Can you see how this could be beneficial in ensuring that you only choose clients who you know you can get a result for? Right? That's the other thing that happens is you're held more accountable. And of course, this can work for a variety of different tools. Now, I don't know how it would work for a monthly membership, but I'm sure you could have some sort of framework. I'd have to give that some thought because they're paying monthly already. I can't imagine that you'd want them to pay a lump sum, after 6 months or something like that. Maybe what you do is you charge them a reduced fee for the first 3 months, 90 days, and then after that you increase it. So almost like a starter introductory price, and then that turns into the normal price afterwards. So you might even say, hey, normally our memberships are $400 a month, but here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to, for the first, because I want to really prove to you that we can help you. And I want you to know that I'm committed to helping you win. I'm going to charge you $200, and only after you see results after the first 90 days, then we'll bump you up to the normal fee of $400 a month. So you could use potentially a framework like that. Okay. All right. So this can be a really great tool to generate an additional income for you. It could be a great way to bump up your pricing, to charge what's fair. I will never tell you to gouge people. I will never tell you to charge too much, but I will also never tell you to gouge yourself, right? When you charge too little, you're gouging yourself. You're gouging your practice. Okay. And in my opinion, you're probably doing your clients a disservice, because what I found is that the more people pay, the more they pay attention. So always charge what's fair to both parties, right? You want to charge what's fair to you, to your practice, and to your client. Okay. Now, if people aren't getting transformational results working with you, then we need to work on that part of your business. But if they are getting transformational results working with you that they couldn't get anywhere else in a shorter period of time with less frustration and more ease, that's extremely valuable, guys. Okay. And we can deliver, as Aaron mentioned here, premium experiences for people. If you were climbing Mount Everest, would you want to go with the cheapest person? Probably not, right? So just realize that when people are hiring you, they're climbing their Mount Everest, right? They're going up a mountain that they've tried to climb several times and couldn't get up. And because that goal is important to them, they're going to pay whatever the value is to them. So I had a great conversation with a client today. And, again, kind of using the SAGE approach. And, I think that, everything I taught you today is never to manipulate people. I know it doesn't have to be said, but I just want to say that just to be absolutely clear that we're not doing any of this to manipulate people. We're doing this to serve people. And so when I was speaking to this individual today, by the end of the call, he said, "Hey, I noticed that you have different price points. You have $1,000. That isn't for me. I want to work with you one-on-one." He said, "You have a $3,000 program and a $5,000 program." He said, "Sachin, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do because I trust you." Right? So that's important to realize, because when people trust you, and you never want to abuse people's trust, then they are going to trust your judgment for what they need. But when they don't trust you, they're going to try to haggle their way down and say, "Hey, do you think the $999 program is right for me? Or do you think I can get through with or get by with this program or that program? Do you think we can cut this corner or cut that corner?" Because they don't trust you. They haven't positioned you as the sage. Okay. And that's how you know. So we learned a lot of new things today. My apologies, I went just a few minutes over. I hope that was okay. I'd love to know if there's any questions that any of you have. I'll take a few questions, and then I'm committed to beating my son at basketball. So I got to make sure I get out there before the sun goes down, because I promised him I'd be out there. Any questions that come up for you today? All right. So Niels is asking, can you be all in when you have additional businesses? So I think so that's a great question. So what I'll say to that is, are those additional businesses, let me stop sharing here. Are those additional businesses tied to the same cause or crusade? I'll have you unmute yourself. Niels might be faster.
Yes, that would be. Thank you. Mostly same field, different niches. Support my wife and hers, but then I have some other things that I do just family business wise. And it was just a question that I asked, because when I wrote three, that was the thing that I was questioning. We live a pretty good life. That's why I was asking, because we're mobile. Currently in Mexico right now. We'll be in Canada by the end of August. So I guess that's the thing that I'm challenged with. I know I'm going to put together a good product. And with you, I mean, I'm pretty sure we've met before, where you do the practitioner consulting, but then also have patients and clients that you support. So I'm kind of curious just to hear your words on that thought process.
Yeah. So for me, I probably take less than 10 clients a year. And that's because they're either really high profile clients, or they are beyond the scope of working with my team. So I don't actively, like, you won't see me recruiting actively patients. but I do take on like I said, a handful of clients. So for me, it's like 99% of my time is focused on helping practitioners, and then that 1% is because there's nobody on my team that can do it, and these people refuse to see anyone else. So with that being said, I think that but my crusade doesn't change, right? So my
Mm-hmm.
cause doesn't change because it's still the same mission, just a different element of the mission. So I'm still working on the same rocket ship. I'm just working in perhaps a different, bay or different part of the project. So, I don't want, like, I think that is, don't overthink that part of it, right? But I guess
Yeah.
what I'm saying, like, if you're changing tires at night, right, and then
Right.
like as a mechanic, and then you're trying to like dabble in your craft, then that's kind of the example that I want you to think of. So
I think the
um,
analogy is a good one. I get it. And that's why I wanted just to clarify. And so
yeah.
as long as the passion and the purpose is right,
Mm-hmm.
the vehicle that gets you there can be different. Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy Mexico. All right. Louise has a question. I'm going to have you unmute yourself, Louise.
Can you hear me?
Hey.
Yeah, hi. So in the last one, when it was that framework, we're in it together, they pay 4,000. And then the last 2,000, if they've been successful, is it at the end of a 3-month program? Or does
Great.
it go on after that?
Yeah, great question. So you could set that up however you want. So you could set that up at the halfway point. You could set that up
Okay.
towards the end. That's totally up to you. The idea here is the concept here is this, and the psychology here is that you're already comfortable charging 2,000,
Right.
right? And you're confident that you can produce a result for this person,
Right.
right? And you're getting their agreement that when we produce this result, that I'm committed to helping you get, and you're committed to achieving that, you'll be happy and glad to pay the remainder of that balance, right? And so you may still have some work to do, but you can set that parameter up however you feel comfortable. So you might have them pay that second installment halfway through the program, or you might have them pay towards the end of your 90-day program if that's how you run it.
It's almost like they will be giving you $2,000 at the end to thank you for everything that you did for them for the 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I had a landscaping project done at my house, and they charge a certain percentage up front, right, for the materials and everything, and then in good faith they do the work, and then you pay the final bill when they're done. So it's kind of like that, right? So other industries use this model, because if I had to pay the whole like bill up front, then I'm just like, oh shit, like what if they don't show up?
Well, yeah.
Right. So this actually builds confidence and trust. So we actually did a third up front so they could buy the materials. We did a third in the middle, and then we did a third at the end when the project was done.
Okay,
so
good.
other industries are using that same framework. So it's always easier to ask for an amount that we're comfortable with, and then the rest of it is kind of a bonus, right? And then once you have that confidence in knowing, hey, like people are happy to pay $4,000, then you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just to give you that little, baby step, or to give you like that little training wheel to be able to, make that shift in the pricing.
Yeah, I'm going to think about this because right now the costs that I give for my 3-month program, some people think it's too big an amount right away. So I give them like more than a third, like whatever, and then 2 other payments in month 2 and month 3. But I like this idea as a way to up your prices. So if I'm in fact comfortable with 1,500 or 2,000 or whatever, bring it up, because I've just moved to a new country now. So I'm revisiting a lot of the things that I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Does anyone else have any questions? If you do, go ahead and raise your digital hand or type in your question, and I'll be happy to answer it. And then I did want to, I know some of you typed in next level. So if if that's you, if you are ready to go to that next level, go ahead and type in next level. And that's you if you're a wellness practitioner, your practicing revenue is from 0 to 100K. You want to be mentored and you want to build multiple streams of income, and you want to surround yourself with passionate people who are on the same journey. We do have a program that's opening up in the next few weeks. So if you're interested in learning more, you can type in next level, and I'd love to connect with you and get my team to answer any questions that you might have so that we can help you get there. All right. Cool. So I think we're done. I think we did a great job today. If you got value out of this, please let me know. And happy to continue to keep sharing information with you. I did want to let you know that we have an upcoming event. We have a 3-day business intensive that we're doing, which is going to be happening July 8th, 9th, and 10th. And this business intensive is going to share with you our entire blueprint and on how to build a in-person or online practice, whether it's one-on-one or group or a hybrid. We're going to show you the exact framework. And so mark your calendars. We'll be sending out an email here shortly with the registration page. And I hope to see all of you there. It's absolutely free. And it's our way of kind of continuing to move the needle forward, because more people need to know about what each of you are doing and what you're up to. All right. Have an awesome day, everyone. I will talk to you soon. Wish me luck as I go and try to defend the crown of basketball for our street against my son. All right. Cheers. Bye.